Welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily. Let's go right to the podium where your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, is meeting the media.
To get things going, what
You're done.
is like during the week to try to jumpstart it?
We're just working. We just keep working, keep talking about what we're seeing on tape, what we're seeing on film, how we running certain routes versus different defenders and different schemes. And that's all we can do is just keep working. And when it comes on game day, trying to execute that plan that we build throughout the week.
Hey, Deshaun, the Browns lead the league in penalties. So my question is, being behind the sticks as often as you are, how does that curtail what you can do?
I mean, that's definitely not the game plan, and that's not what we want to be. We just got to correct those. We got to lock in a little bit more on the details of, the operation, and it starts with that. And if we can clean up that, I think that we can be a lot more successful, especially offensively. But yeah, we're definitely aware of that, and we it's definitely a point of emphasis for this team.
What felt different maybe out there on Sunday compared to the first time out against Dallas? I mean, for you, just in terms of being comfortable physically, any of that, was there a difference the second time out compared to the first?
No, just game two. The games, the more reps we get, I think that's for every player. The more comfortable you get, the more free in the game plan, and just each and every game is different. So, like I said, Dallas was Dallas, and after that Monday, I was past that one, and I was focused on Jacksonville. So there was no different or anything that we did anything differently.
So you were much more decisive, and it seemed like you were just setting your feet and letting it rip on the first look. Was that a point of emphasis last week after the Dallas game?
No, just more reps and just getting comfortable with the scheme. That was our first time, all of 11 of us together, plus the coaching staff, together calling the plays and just operating in a live setting. So we all was a little bit, more aware of, where we want to go with the ball and the game plan. So, it's definitely an opportunity for us to improve this week against the Jets and just try to build on that.
Deshaun, in the context of making sure that something like this doesn't happen in the future, can you sort of explain what your thinking was on the 3rd and 6 there, instead of just taking a sack and letting the 40 seconds run off? Kind of take us through what you were kind of told to do, or what you did do, or what you saw on that play.
I saw a touchdown, but you got to give Allen a great play. Credit, making a great play. Tillman, he did his job of selling the block. We got outside and he ran a corner. The corner popped open, but Allen, he beat me to my spot to where I wanted to throw it, and that's pretty much it.
You've said a couple of times since you've gotten here, you don't have to be as much of a game changer. You can be more of a facilitator, point guard, when you're a quarterback on this team. What's the difference in your mind between playing quarterback as a facilitator and being the game changer guy?
It's no different. It's just the way the game goes and how the flow of the game is.
Mindset between, okay, take this check down and, let's try to make a bigger play?
No, I don't have a different mind. I go into each and every game with the same mindset, and that's me walking on the field, being the best player that I can be on the field.
Important has Jerry been in these first two games, and does it feel like you guys are on the same page when it comes to those scramble situations? It feels like you've been able to connect it multiple times.
Yeah, he's just been in the right spots at the right time, and I tell all my guys is just to be able to, the play is never over until it's over. So, you never know when the ball might come to you, regardless if I'm looking your direction or not. So, just constantly, playing to the final whistle. That's always been my motto since I've been growing up, and yeah, he's just been in the right spots and been making big plays for us.
Deshaun, your slipperiness, your elusiveness was really on display in this game. It almost seems maybe even more so than in some other games that you've played here. Do you feel like there's just so much more to come with that, and that is probably one of your strengths, and it's really going to serve you well as you move forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been part of my game since high school, college, even in the pros. I mean, I've always been that type of player to, try to make the first two guys miss and then get, make something happen after that. So, yeah, it's just something that is just part of me, I guess.
And do you feel like sometimes with those situations, they just have to let you be you, and sometimes you have to take a little bit of bad with the good, because the good is going to outweigh the bad, and you're just going to make a play?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that, most coaches don't really coach in a sense. It's just kind of let your guys be the guys and make those plays. And we're going to take our chances with that. And, sometimes in certain situations you got to be smart. But, at the end of the day, I've always told Kevin, I play off my instincts. And, one coach always told me to never go against my instincts and gut feeling. So, and I definitely have so much respect from that coach. Yeah, he's been pretty right since.
Coach was?
I was coach Ryan.
Downfield passing numbers are down. Even guys who often throw it deep are throwing shorter than ever. Do you think that's because too high defense? Is that part of the scheme? What do you think goes into that?
It's definitely the too high defense. I think that might have been an emphasis for a lot of defensive coordinators over the year. This offseason is just, trying to eliminate those shots, especially with, the game is going the way it's going, with a lot of DPIs, and you can't touch the guys down the field, for the defense. So it's harder for them. So, they try to, play with a lot of depth and two-high shell. So they keep everything underneath and you don't get those opportunities. So at least that's what I think for sure.
What's the give and take with that? Do you still have to try to take a shot every now and again to keep them honest, even if you think they're taking it away?
Yeah, but you got to be smart with it. I think the biggest thing is really just you got to catch them when they're in that one high man type defense and take your one-on-one shots. So you got to be very selective, and when those opportunities come, you got to capitalize on them. But until then, you just got to keep taking, and it might be a longer, drive here and there, but it's gotta, you got to kind of play that game, that chess match with the defensive coordinator.
That the explosives can still be there, even though we know David Njoku is unlikely to play in this game, and you and Amari are still trying to find your way. Can you still hit those explosives if you need to?
Of course, we have a lot of guys that can be explosive. Not just one or two guys going into each and every game plan. Everyone that step on the field can be explosive. So, that's our mentality. That's my mentality. Whoever's on the field, whoever gets open, you catch the ball, I get the ball to you, and let's make those plays go.
The 16-play drive to start that game, but just how much of a test of patience is it when the defense isn't giving up those big plays, so you have to go methodically down the field and not try to force something?
Yeah, you just got to lock in. That's what they're banking on, is the offense turning it over, getting a sack, doing something crazy to help them out and not getting into the end zone. But if we can continue to do that, the biggest thing, you got to get in shape. You got to make sure you're locked in on each and every play. So, you don't have those mistakes that the defense is banking on and hoping that you do. And if you can get points on those long drives, it definitely helps the whole team. It helps the defense and let them kind of get their win back, let them make their adjustments. And then if we get points, that helps us, as a whole.
Evolved in your career in that way? When you're coming into the league, probably in college and high school, you probably feel like no one can tackle me, I can make any play, and you kind of have to learn in the league to take the easy ones.
I've always been like that, though. I've always been the mentality that I can make every play. So I don't think that changed, or I don't think I've changed that mindset since I came into the league to now. I think it's always been the same for me.
Do you think maybe because there's maybe less of the ability to throw the ball downfield and the numbers are kind of down, has the standard of what an elite quarterback in this league maybe looks like changed a little bit, or at least what people kind of consider that? And people obviously reference 2020 for you, and you led the league in passing, but is it not necessarily just like hitting those marks with yards and all that as much as it used to be?
I guess it's very. I think that's more opinionated than anything. You can get kind of wound away with stats and things, but there are a lot of great quarterbacks out there that might not have the stats that certain guys do, but they win games. And I think in this league, it's about winning games. You want to get to that ultimate championship. 2020, I had the best, couple of me, A-Rod, and Pat was like the top three quarterbacks in the league. But my team was 4-12. So, those stats really didn't matter because we didn't win any games. So like I said, my mentality as far as that, off the field stuff and just coming down to stats, like it's about winning games in this league, and you have to win games to get those opportunities to play in the playoffs, and then that's when you can, have the opportunity to go get the ultimate goal, and that's that Super Bowl ring, and that's what every team is chasing.
Do you know that when you look back at the week that you had, starting with Friday and the loss of your two loved ones, and then going into the Cowboys game, and then what happened on Monday, what was that all like to go through that period of that 4 days?
I'm good. Like I mentioned before, it's all glory to the Lord. I have a great support cast in the organization and my family and friends, and it's just more glory.
You guys understand the health risks every time you go out there. I was just wondering, the unfortunate Tua situation, has that been a topic of conversation amongst you guys? Has it changed any way you look at the game?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, especially as any player, but, as a quarterback especially, but it goes for all players, is really just trying to be as safe as possible, and sometimes you can't really control it. My prayers to Tua and his family. Hope he's getting very, very, well quickly and have the opportunity to come back as soon as possible to help his team. But it's kind of like that deal where you try to protect yourself, and sometimes the hits go your way and then don't go your way, and it's just kind of the nature of football. But I think the NFL and the league is doing a good job of trying to protect that and trying to get away from those type of kind of hits. But at the same time, guys are playing full speed, so it's kind of hard to stop in it, in the heat of the moment and try to hold up or protect yourself on both sides.
Watson at Clemson. What type of challenges he posed in the middle there?
Yeah, Big Dets. It's my dog. I mean, he's a huge human being up front. He has a high motor, very exciting player. He's gonna talk a lot of junk, but he just creates a lot of problems up front, and a lot of times you got to get two guys on him because. For me, I think he's gotten more athletic than he was in Clemson, which is crazy. But, I mean, he's just that all-pro, 3-tech, knows whatever you want to put him up front and just let him go play. And, we got to make sure we're aware of 97 and really all those guys up front, because they got some guys, 0 and 5. All those guys can go. So, much respect to them. And, we got to make sure we keep an eye on them.
You're going out with him this weekend?
Something like that, but I haven't spoke to him yet. But I definitely, Sunday we'll be talking a lot. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Deshaun Watson from the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience packages today for the ultimate game day. We'll get into your hot topics of the day, including an injury report with a surprising name on it. That's coming up next. We're off and running. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. right, welcome back in on a First Friday Miracle edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. A hot mid-September First Friday for you out there, kids. Get out there, get some sun, live a little bit. It is warm.
It's glorious.
It is. It's plenty warm though. This is August.
August is the new July.
I don't know what it is. It's all backwards.
And September is the new August.
August was a little bit like fall though. Sometimes like October.
A couple days.
We had some days in the 70s.
But no, this is
warm.
September's
It's beautiful.
prime, baby.
It's the best month. We played the Deshaun Watson interview, the podium session off the top. We'll play the Kevin Stefanski one a little bit later, but there are some details on our injury report that are a little bit surprising. Pre-practice injury report this morning shows DeJuan Jones on it with a knee, Dr. Z. Chief, we would know about Pierre Strong on there as well. None of them expected to practice today. Chief unlikely to play this week per coach. Again, that's not much of a surprise, but what do you make of DeJuan Jones on there at knee?
I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it at all. I think DeJuan Jones right now is our best lineman. We talked about it yesterday. He's at Pro Football Focus, the 8th best pass blocking tackle in the league. Is that good? Yeah. As a matter of fact, it is. So it said his coach said he injured his knee during the game on Sunday. Said he is day to day. It says out today, but really can't go past these. Those are direct quotes. And he was asked if it was the same knee he underwent season-ending surgery on a year ago, and he said, I don't know. I would imagine we know.
We probably know.
Which leg this is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we know the leg.
Hopefully he's able to come back. Now, remember, he left last week's game for 11 plays, came back and finished the game. I talked to him after the game. He seemed to be in very good spirits. I've seen him here this week already. He seems to be in very good spirits. I love DeJuan Jones. He is one of my favorites, and he is, in my opinion, our best tackle right now.
We thought it was dehydration.
Well, that's what that was the report during the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know, but remember last year, like the knee thing with DeJuan that lost him for the season happened 48 hours after the fact.
This from Nate Ulrich. Browns right tackle DeJuan Jones says he expects to return to practice this week and play Sunday against the Giants. The plan is for Jones to sit out practice this afternoon per the team. So that's from DeJuan
As long as
Jones.
you're ready by Friday, practice Friday.
He's going to be ready. Now, the interesting thing is, and we're talking about DeJuan now, if there were no DeJuan, you automatically go back to Jed Wills and Jack Conklin, right?
Right, correct.
If they're both able to go. If not, it would probably be James Hudson, but you'd probably want Hudson, if Jed was ready and Jack wasn't, it would be, and no DeJuan. If there's no Jack, no DeJuan, it would be Jed Wills at left and Hudson at right. If it was probably no Jed, no DeJuan, Hudson's probably stays at left because he's been playing there. Jack goes to his normal right tackle position. If it is DeJuan and either Jed or Jack, my guess is DeJuan plays right tackle and they play left tackle. If it is DeJuan, Jed, and Jack, hallelujah, I would guess these are not scores. This is pure speculation. I would guess it would be Jed at left, DeJuan at right, and Jack on the swing.
At the end of that, I felt so much like It's Always Sunny with Pepe Sylvia when he goes, Charlie, all of these people exist and they all want to know where their mail is. Who is Pepe Sylvia?
Yes.
I followed you, though, brother. I followed you.
You were there with me.
So it was surprised. Yeah, look, we didn't expect him popping up on there, but good news from Nate that he looks like he's going to be good to go by the time we get to this weekend. We placed David Bell on IR. Jalen Darden and Royce Freeman signed to the practice squad as well.
My guess is Pierre is going to be out this week with that hamstring, that you'll bring up either Gary Brightwell, who's been on the practice squad with you this whole time, or Royce Freeman into that third running back role. And I believe at receiver, Darden probably will be up with Bell out, or they'll use that roster spot somewhere else that they deem necessary. What's interesting about all of this is that Kadarius Toney, I think you would love to be able to have him. He remains injured, so he is still not ready to be a factor for the Cleveland Browns yet.
What did you make of a couple of notes around the league? Number one, we had the Hall of Fame list, so we have the new first ballot guys this year and some of our veterans, which is appropriate because this is alumni weekend.
Well, this is like 150 names, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that are on this list right now. It'll start to get pared down, but a bunch of them on the list, including a bunch of first-timers. So that story's out there today. Then the other one that's out there was the Miami Dolphins put Tua on IR with concussion. Now, I couldn't think of a situation where it's rare that a starting quarterback goes on IR unless they're done for the year. So that's jumped out to me right away. I don't recall one going on IR, and then going on IR with a concussion also is because that's a protocol.
Yep.
So they obviously tells you, as if we didn't need to be reminded, how seriously this thing is in Miami with Tua, that they're saying it's 4 games at least. We'll see in a while. We'll see how this goes.
This is just me watching it.
Yeah.
It feels to me like we're talking about a guy who may or may not ever play football again. And the question is not may or may not, should not, would not, whatever you want to go in that, fill in the blank there. It's such a scary situation there. Now, if he were to go on IR and they were to say, you know what, Tua, you're done for the year, then I think Ryan Tannehill gets in the mix. The reports out of Ryan Tannehill's camp is that obviously there is interest in him, but that he only wants to go somewhere where he feels like when he comes in, he is the starter for the rest of the season. He doesn't want to come in somewhere and be a bridge. He'd rather just not do it at all.
I'm asking because I don't know. Was he good last year?
I think he'd be good in that offense. I mean, he's been a very winning quarterback.
No, I know.
Career.
I just, they've been trying to replace him for about the last 3 or 4 years down there, and I just wonder, I don't know. I'm asking.
I think they
again,
were succession
because Flacco
planning.
Came out of nowhere. Nobody thought Flacco would play the way he played here.
No,
nobody.
Think Tannehill,
so I don't. That's in play. I'm just saying I don't know. Like in the last couple of years, was he still solid?
The last 2 years, he was 9-11 as a starter, but then again, Tennessee was on its way down. He had the 3 years prior to that, he was 30-13 as a starter. And the 3 years prior to that, he threw 22, 55, 76 touchdowns and 27 picks. So could he still play? I think they just got bad around him over the last few years. Trade away A.J. Brown. If he goes to Miami and he's dealing with, can he still throw the ball accurately? Yes. I mean, he has not completed fewer
36.
64% of his passes since 2015. I mean, 64, 70, 65, 67, 65, 65. So, yeah, I definitely think he can play. Over 7 yards per attempt still? Yes, I definitely think he could play. And I think that offense, he could absolutely do very, very well in that offense. Tannehill's looking for a situation where he can come in and be the starter for the rest of the season. Tua has gone on IR. He's expressing a desire to return to competition. That might not be the case. Maybe they're not the right fit for him. This is just speculative.
Yeah, you rarely see like I said, you rarely see a quarterback go on IR unless it's done, and you rarely see anyone go on IR with concussion because there's a protocol to it. So this speaks to the severity of it. What you said off the top is what I assume is happening, which is there is dialogue taking place that centers around, are we sure that you can still play football and that it's smart to ever play football again?
Yeah.
And I said look, again, certainly not a neurosurgeon, but it does feel like there are different varieties and degrees of concussion, and it feels like when he has one, it's DEFCON 1 right out of the gates.
His body responds to these differently than we've all seen people get concussions many times.
But these are
like out of a horror movie. It's
disturbing.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the way I read it as well. Was that we're going to take some time and make sure that this is long term the right thing for him, and that's first and foremost. And then under that is Miami, because it's a ready-made team. And again, this is why your Tannehill example is a great one. You talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and would make all the sense in the world because that's a playoff team. I picked them winning the division with Tua. I thought they'd win the division, so that's out of the mix. That's not going to happen. I can't imagine. But they still have an incredible roster, and somebody like Tannehill or even like Flacco paratrooping in here last year, you can be great in that spot. So yeah, it's twofold on that front. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was the Pro Football Hall of Fame list. The finalist list, which came out today, and we have some guys on it. Cribbs on it again, obviously Clay on it again. But I heard Riz talking about this on RBS, and I would not have had this, and none of the guys on RBS had it either. And that was the fact that Brian Mitchell is second in NFL history in total yardage from scrimmage, behind only Jerry Rice.
from scrimmage, or I think that's factoring in his kick returns.
It is. Yeah, it's got to be
Yes.
factoring that in too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're talking about just yards.
Yards,
Yeah,
second
but
in
that's-
yards total. Only Rice is more though.
Yeah, but it's kick returns.
I understand, but it's still that's longevity that you have to have it. Like I wouldn't have had
No
that he was
doubt.
second of all time.
No doubt.
In total yards, I would not have had that.
So Brian Mitchell.
He's at 23,330 total
All right,
yards.
so he was in the league for 13 seasons.
because he has 14,000 kick return yards.
Yeah, he's got
5,000
5,000 punt
punt.
returns,
Yeah.
14,000 kick return,
23,000 total yards.
all-purpose yards. Yeah, 23.
Isn't that something?
It is. I mean,
Like,
his
I knew that his longevity was there. He was so great in Washington and then Philly.
career, he's got like basically it's 4,000 yards from scrimmage.
From scrimmage, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all returns. But I mean, I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but I'm just saying that's a statistical anomaly to have a career that long, and the fact that he was still such a viable return man in both the punt and the pick game at 35.
Yeah,
Was still doing it.
and he had 13 career return touchdowns. 9 of them were punts, and he had 16 career scrimmage touchdowns, 12 rush, 4 receiving. One-time
That's
Pro Bowl,
second-
one-time All-Pro.
Second only to Hester on the return touchdowns.
touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a Hall of Famer, but just an incredible career.
I would think that Cribbs' shorter career. I think Cribbs was a better kick returner for sure. Cribbs was 3-time Pro Bowl, 1-time All-Pro, and on the All 2000s team. I don't know if even Mitchell might not even have been on the All.
Mitchell was all pro 3 times.
I'm
Twice
talking-
second team,
I'm talking-
one time first.
Yeah, I was talking first. So
One Pro
Cribbs
Bowl.
would be 1 first, 1 second, 3 Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
And the All 2000s team. It's
He was the all 2000s kick returner?
yeah.
That's awesome.
That
Good
is
job out of him.
quite awesome. Yeah, nothing from Brian Mitchell didn't make any all decades teams, but yeah, very very good player.
Yeah, the one that'll be the point of contention will be Eli Manning.
Not a Hall of Famer.
I think he's going to get in.
I think he's going to get in too, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, can you be a Hall of Famer and have a 16-year career and never be an All-Pro?
No, I wonder if that applies to quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, though. If there are any quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame who were never all pro, first team all
Somebody
pro.
could look that up.
Yeah,
Stevie
G-Man.
G.
G-Man. Hey, yeah. Let
He's
me
a
know.
4-time
Is there
Pro
a Hall
Bowler.
of Famer who did not make all pro?
He never at any point.
Hall of Fame quarterback who never made all pro.
I'm going to even add this. Never made All-Pro, never led the league in passing, never led the league in passing touchdowns, never led the league in completion percentage, never led the league in quarterback rating, thrice led the league in interceptions, once led the league in sack percentage.
Well, isn't he like a 500 quarterback and almost have as many touchdowns as interceptions?
Bo, he's exactly a 500 quarterback. He's 117, 60% completions, 57,000 yards, 366 touchdowns, 244 picks, and 84 ratings. Career 70
he just
yards
has
per
the
attempt.
two.
It's the Super Bowls where he beat
Super
two of the
Bowls.
most dominant teams
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
I don't think
Who
he's a
is
Hall
the?
of Famer.
I don't think so either. I wouldn't think so either. I think he will get in. I'm just curious. Like, I'm wondering who has a similar.
Philip Rivers is probably same draft class. Is probably maybe has a better Hall of Fame.
I was trying to think of some. I bet he does. I was trying to think of somebody who had more.
Well,
who won
Are you
championships.
looking for a quarterback?
I'm looking for a quarterback who is in the Hall of Fame who never was an All Pro.
Or never all pro.
Who was never all pro.
Never.
Yeah, like I'm guessing there are some because you can only name one. Like was Troy Aikman an All Pro ever?
I would doubt it.
I wouldn't think.
So average Hall of Fame. This is Pro Football Reference does this as kind of a, their Hall of Fame monitor. They have him as 22nd amongst all quarterbacks, below what their normal threshold would be. Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers are both well above him. Russell Wilson's even above him on this. Matt Stafford is just below him.
Troy Aikman was never an All Pro. He was in the Pro Bowl 6 times, but he was never an All Pro.
So that's still more.
Yeah,
He did lead the league in completion percentage one year.
Troy did. Yes,
He was once top 5 in MVP voting, which never happened with Eli.
Eli was not.
No.
Yeah. I don't think he is, but I think he'll get in eventually. But he's not a first ballot. That's nonsense.
Yeah, Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner's a 2-time MVP.
Kurt Warner is like
Here's one, Warren Moon.
Kurt Warner's one of the hardest ones you could do.
Yeah.
Because he also was benched in New York for Eli Manning.
Yeah.
And then had the Renaissance. Actually, the Rams ran him out too. Remember they went Bolger? They ran him out.
Mark Bolger, sure. It's an interesting. I mean, in terms of the Hall of Fame monitor, the two guys that are the lowest on the Hall of Fame monitor by a mile are Troy Aikman and Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly, 5-time Pro Bowler, was a 1-time All-Pro. Did lead the league in completion percentage 1 year, did lead the league in passing touchdowns 1 year, did lead the league in rating 1 year, was 1, 2, twice top 5 in MVP voting.
Here's the other thing that you can do with Jim Kelly, and I don't think you can do it with Troy Aikman, and I don't think you can do it with, I know you can't do it with Eli Manning. There was a time in Jim Kelly's career where if you were, it's like the old sports bar debate, you could make an argument, you could walk in and go, I think Jim Kelly's the best quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the early 90s, you could have gone in and you wouldn't have been
91,
laughed
92.
out.
No,
you wouldn't have been
yeah.
laughed out of the building.
90 to 92.
And there was never a time with Eli where you would say he was the best quarterback in football. Like at no point. At no point.
No. Phillip Rivers, and I'm just without even looking at his thing. So Phillip Rivers, 8-time Pro Bowl, 1, 2, twice in the top 5 for MVP voting, three times in the top 5 for Offensive Player of the Year voting. Led the league in completions once, led the league in passing touchdowns once, led the league in passing yards once, led the league in rating once. Like,
I don't think either one of them are Hall of Famers.
Led the league in
by the way.
yards per attempt 3 different times.
So
Rivers is probably a better.
He's a better candidate, but you also can't ignore the 2 Super Bowls with Eli, and he does have those.
So the cousin of
he was clutch.
The cousin of Mo Pedman is in here.
Yeah,
and he says Len Dawson, but he
Did
was
not win.
He was,
Was not.
He was all AFL, but that's not all pro.
It's also this is.
And then
I would go.
Yeah, Len Dawson's a 2-time All-Pro. It says. Says he was a 2-time first-team All-Pro,
2-time first-team All-Pro,
and 66 was second-team All-Pro, and 68 and 64.
He was first.
Tell your cousin to do some better research.
2 All-Pros twice and 2 second-team All-Pros.
Yes, that's what we just said.
Sad.
No,
Sad. Accountability.
Sad.
Gotta have it.
Got to have. By the way, he also led the league in completion percentage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. He led the league in passing touchdowns 4 times. He led the league in quarterback rating 1, 2, 3, 4,
he
5,
says
6
there
times.
was no merger till 1970, though. So this wasn't NFL.
What are we doing? This is
all
semantics.
AFL.
This is
semantics.
a Super Bowl.
What are we talking about?
There was a Super Bowl. Listen, the man is from Alliance,
Talking
Ohio.
about Monfrere.
This is
the
what
guy
I would
started
say.
playing in 1957, and you only want to count what he did from 70 on. By the way, he was also in that stretch of Pro
Someone's
Bowler,
worked
top
into
6 in the MVP, and led the league in completion percentage.
Cousin of
Next.
Pedman. This is the pride of Alliance, Ohio, who is also in the most iconic Super Bowl, most iconic NFL photo of all time, smoking a heater at halftime.
And you want to besmirch
and
his
you're
good
just
name?
smirching him. We're not going to have
on
it.
this program.
I'll be damned
The
if I'm
cousin
gonna
of
have
Mo
it.
Pedman is
angry.
anti-Len
The
Anti-Ohio.
other one is
He's anti-Ohio.
Yeah.
Anti-Stark County.
Anti-Ohio.
My God. We live in a society.
Now he's just so proud about his being in Streetsboro that he's posting pictures of city halls and that are yet to be built, and he's turned his back on everything else in this great
All
state.
right, we will meet the Giants. You'll hear from Corey Bjorquez as well. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
He's wheezing in there.
When a medical mistake causes you injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Also, boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $50 or more. You get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Read at work with this. Troy Aikman is the only quarterback in the Hall of Fame who has no MVPs, All-Pros, or Offensive Player of the Year. Eli would be the second.
There you go.
That's
the list. I mean, I wish the cameras were rolling in the commercial. We were almost assaulted.
We were almost assaulted.
For defending Ohio and defending Stark County.
Stark County.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to have it on this program.
Not on this.
Not on this program.
Not on this program.
Nope. Time to meet the Giants. Coached by Brian Daboll. We're familiar with him. 15-20-1. His third year as the coach, third with the Giants. Spent 2 seasons as our offensive coordinator from 2009 and 10. The Browns lead the all-time series 28-22-2. The last meeting we won in 2020, 20-6. Last time out, the Giants lost to Washington 21-18. For more on the Giants, Dr. Z.
So this is not a great football team. They are 0-2. They struggle at a great many things. If you look at them, here we go. On offense right now, 272 yards per game, 24th in the league. 101.5 rushing, 22nd in the league. Passing yards, 170.5, 24th in the league. First downs per game, 16, 23rd in the league. They are good on third downs, though. 9th, 42% conversions. Red zone TD rate 50% tied for 10th. Average time possession 27 minutes 24th. Points per game, that's a big one, 12.0, 31st in the National Football League. Are they better defensively? No. 26th yards per game total. 28th against the run, 163 yards per game. And in fact, to running backs alone, just pulled this one up, 140 yards on 5.8 yards per carry and 50.5 yards receiving. They're going up 189.5 total yards per game to the running back position. And they face Washington and Minnesota. It's not like they faced 2 juggernaut rushing football teams thus far. They have allowed conversions on third down 41% of the time. That's 23rd in the league. They've given up their only 4th down. They're not great. Not a great team. They've given up the 3rd longest opponent kick return average this year, the 7th longest opponent punt return average this year. This is not a great football team. They're led, of course, by their quarterback, Danny Dimes, and Gibbe loves to throw hot seats around. I think that whole operation's on the hot seat right now, including head coach, GM, quarterback, all of it. Danny Dimes on the season, 54% completions, 364 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 66.6 rating. What's amazing about this is Malik Neighbors has 193 yards receiving. He's actually 4th in the NFL with 193 yards receiving. But again, they've thrown for 364. He has 193. Bo, is that 193 more than half of 364?
State school, but I believe so. I believe that is correct.
You have that correct. Malik Neighbors is over 50%. If there was ever a game where I could implore this football team to just double him everywhere and let anybody else catch the football. Their tight ends this year, you know what their tight ends have? 2 catches for 21 yards.
Jeez.
That's it. It's basically drop back and throw it to Malik Neighbors, and then against Washington last week, they ran the ball well. Singletary, 16 carries, 95 yards, 5.9 a carry. He had a touchdown as well on the season, 26 runs, 132 yards, 5.1, and a touchdown. They've got a veteran offensive line with Andrew Thomas, John Runyon, John Michael Schmitz Jr., Greg Van Roten, and Jermaine Illuminor. So they've got a veteran line there. I think we can get them, especially on the right side of the line. They've struggled so far, Van Roten and Illuminor. Defensively, not fully done with this yet, but they've got playmaking. Here's a crazy stat. Last week they had 5 sacks against Washington.
Yep.
3 defensive backs, 2 linebackers.
No Thibodeau?
Nobody on the defensive front had a sack in week 1 against them. Jaden Daniels, by the way, was 23 of 29, 79% in that one. They're allowing quarterbacks to complete 79% of their passes for the season, 105.5 rating. So this would be a nice game to see a very efficient passing attack. Up front, they've got Dexter Lawrence, a 2-time Pro Bowler. He's got a sack so far this season. Their big acquisition was Brian Burns, traded a 2nd-rounder and a 5th-rounder and swapped 5th-rounders with Carolina to get him. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He's had at least 7.5 sacks in 5 straight seasons. 12.5 was his career high back in 2022. He does not yet have a sack with the Giants. So They've got some good off-ball linebackers. They've got Bobby Okereke, who's played very well this year. Micah McFadden made his debut last week, had a career-high 13 tackles. He had a sack. And then their secondary has been dreadful. They've got Cordale Flott, their third-rounder out of LSU, who so far this season has allowed a 100% completion rate and a 158.3 rating in coverage. So it can't get any higher in either regard. They've got Adoree Jackson, who's allowing a 100% completion rate. They've got Deontay Banks, who's allowing a 100% completion rate. Those are their corners. So it feels like we should be able to complete the ball when we throw it on their corners. They've got young safety Drew Phillips, and then they've got Jason Pinnock, who had a great game last week, 2 sacks, 2 hits, 9 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. But even he allowed 100% in coverage and 113 rating. So not a great football team. There's a reason they're one of the worst in the league, and the Browns certainly should be able to deal with them very, very well.
A lot has been made of the fact that Daniel Jones has thrown more pick sixes than touchdowns since his time in getting that new deal with the Giants. Just 4 touchdowns in the last 2 years from Dan Dimes. But
last 8 starts, 1-7.
Yeah.
1-7.
Go.
4 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Yeah.
As you just pointed out.
Yeah, so that's a problem. But then you say to yourself, well, what the hell would make them give him $160 million guaranteed? And I'm going to tell you what made him, and it was the 2022 season at age 25 when he led them to a 9-6-1 record kind of out of nowhere. He completed 67% of his passes, 32.05, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. That doesn't even tell the whole story. He ran for 708 and 7 touchdowns on the ground.
Yep.
At age 25.
Yep.
So he has this year, and it's easy now to say, well, how stupid to give Daniel Dimes that type of money. But if you put yourself in their shoes last year, or in that year, in 2022, what choice do you have?
He was trending up.
He was trending up.
His completion percentage had improved every
year.
He
yardage
has the best
back. Like,
yardage bounce back to a
the
career
rushing,
high.
like all of it.
Best touchdown. He had the lowest interception rate in the entire NFL that season. And then, you mentioned what he's able to do with his legs as well, 708 and 7 back in that 2022 season. Just he kind of hit it at the right moment, and since then, to be fair, last year he was limited to 6 games. He still completed 67.5% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 6 picks. This year, it's 54.3% in the early going, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks.
So that was Daboll in 22. Daboll was there for that.
It was Daboll's
first year.
And then it's like, oh, so he's clicking with Daboll. We're vibing. This is all good. And then since then, it's been a lot of crashing out.
It has been a lot of crashing out. Yeah, there's been a lot of that's been happening. So, look.
Mo Pedman's cousin was crashing out. He almost crashed out in there.
He almost did.
Keep him under control. Crashing out.
You have the G-Man do it. The G-Man can do it. G-Man's like Gibby's bouncer.
Yeah. What am I doing?
You're Gibby's bouncer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If it
gets out of line over there,
it gets out of line.
You straighten it out.
You make sure things are
crashes
on the up and
out.
Up here.
Thrown out.
Handle it.
Mo Pedman, you know what crashing out is? Nope.
Oh my God!
His oldest isn't old enough yet.
Yeah.
That'll come.
We're doing inside scouting for 3rd and 4th grade.
He'll know. He'll know.
Great, him holding the poster. Look at it. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine. There you go.
There it is.
Quintessential giant other than Lawrence Taylor is whom for you?
So I hated with all of my passion.
Yeah.
What was his name? Burt?
Jim Burt. He's the one who hurt Joe.
He hurt Joe. So I hated him.
Yeah.
When you said Lawrence Taylor, I honestly think there are a couple of people that pop into my mind. Odell Beckham, Plastic Burris.
Yeah.
Jeremy Shockey.
Yep. Strahan.
Wilbur Marshall.
Wilbur Marshall was a Bear.
Who am I thinking of then?
You're thinking of there was a Marshall who was on the line for the Giants. Their linebackers were Banks, Carl Banks,
sure,
Pepper Johnson, and Lawrence Taylor were the linebackers.
Was it a Leonard Marshall?
Leonard Marshall was on the defensive line with the Giants. Wilbur Marshall was a linebacker for the Bears on the 85 Bears.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
Probably
Joe Morris, Phil Simms,
Joe Morris.
Jeff Hostetler.
Oh, yeah, great mustache.
Mark Bavaro.
Mark Bavaro.
Was a quintessential giant. I think of the Parcells ones most. I know they won 2 Super Bowls with Coughlin, but they just, when they would show up on your television in the 80s, and it was Parcells just looked like the quintessential Giant coach.
Yeah.
And Lawrence Taylor was so fearsome. And then they just hurt quarterbacks. You mentioned Joe with Jim Burt, and then LT got Joe Theismann on Monday Night Football. Both of those were either Monday Night Football or one might have been a Sunday national game with the Summerall Madden
Did
group.
you see the quote from LT recently?
But
Where he said
that's how they were.
if he slept at night, how good he could have been? Did you hear that?
That's the qualifier. I think it's amazing that he stays committed to like the lightning bolt earring.
It's unreal. Yeah.
Like
That's
30
who he
years
is.
of lightning bolt earring.
That's who he is.
Like at some point. I don't know.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I think that's probably
Those are kind of the ones I think of, though, or those mid to late 80s, early 90s Giants.
Is David Tyree the greatest, if you could say, like, the biggest one-hit wonder in the history of music? Is he the greatest one-play wonder in the history of football because of how improbable, important, and
irrelevant he is, largely?
But that play was as improbable as it gets, so important.
Usually,
their outcome.
when you think of the most miraculous plays in NFL history, if it's the immaculate reception, it's Franco Harris catching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the play that Joe makes to Dwight Clark, it's Dwight Clark catching it. It's Joe throwing it.
Yep.
So yes, off the top of my head, I mean, I think of Nick Foles in Philly. But that's at half.
But he also had a year where he was a starting quarterback and was like 27 touchdowns, 2 picks with Chip Kelly.
There was a corner that won the Larry Brown won the Super Bowl MVP when the Cowboys beat the Steelers in like 95, and he was never anything after, but he had 2 picks in the Super Bowl, including a pick 6. There's a few of those out there, but it's really rare. Timmy Smith probably had the running back for Washington when they won their 3rd Super Bowl or 2nd of 3rd, had like a Super Bowl record for rushing yards in a game. So there's some of those that are out there.
Yeah.
But in terms of an individual play,
yes,
that is one of the more improbable plays in NFL history.
Yes.
And what it meant historically, no, I can't think of one.
To beat an undefeated team.
And they should have had Eli sacked 100 times.
100 times.
Rodney Harrison should have knocked the damn thing down.
I mean, he did. The guy caught it with his forearm in his helmet.
Yeah. It's nuts. That part is. No, it's up there. I can't think of.
It's like Right Said Fred.
I dropped that on the boys like a month ago.
No, you didn't.
I did.
What'd they think?
Couldn't believe it.
Loved it?
No. Did not love it. Thought it was weird. Didn't understand.
They don't get Right Said Fred's aura.
I said
he
this
had a lot
would
of aura
change. He
back
did have
then.
a lot of aura. I said this. I think it would change if you saw the video.
Yeah.
Like how absurd it is, rather than just listening to it. But no, that one did not travel. A lot of the hip hop that we enjoyed as youth does travel. They enjoy all of that stuff, but Right Said Fred did not travel.
Sad.
Hate to see it. Corey Bojorquez with Z coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Are you ready to give your home the facelift it deserves at Renew Home Exteriors? They've got the deal you've been waiting for. Right now, no money down. Get 0% interest for 5 years on all roofing and siding jobs. Combine your roofing and siding projects, and Renew will take an additional 5% off. That's right, no money down, 0% interest for 5 years, and 5% off when you knock out both jobs at once. Don't wait. Upgrade your home. Save big with Renew Home Exteriors. Visit RenewEstimate.com to book today. Renew Home Exteriors, superior products, and superior service. And now here is Dr. Z with one of the heroes of Sunday, Corey Bojorquez.
Very happy now to be joined.
You're down 8 minutes.
Heroes of the Browns win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, punter Corey Bojorquez. And it's probably not often that you get that type of an introduction, right? One of the heroes of the game, the punter, so that you did something very special down there. Let's just go through. And Ashby was just with us a second ago, and he was saying, you were holding it a certain way. You knew it was going to do that. What is kind of the mindset, or what are you trying to get the ball to do? Obviously, it did A+++ scenario, but what are you trying to get the ball to do on a punt like that?
Really, you want to force a fair catch in that situation, especially, really short field. It's very easy to get it into the end zone from there. So really the thought process is, let me get this up and get this returner, fair catch this between the 5 and 10 yard line and let the defense do their thing. And you know what? Sometimes it carries a little farther than you want it to, and the returner lets it go, and you get lucky, and it checks up, and then you get a safety.
So you and I talked about this after the game. On the golf course, there are certain ways that you can hit the ball to try to impart more spin on it to get that kind of check. In punting, you hit your one ball, the big, beautiful spiral that you can hit 70, 80 yards, but you have a lot of different balls that you can hit. So is there a type that, yes, even if he doesn't catch it, I'm pretty sure this one's not going to bounce forward, or are there just too many factors involved to know exactly how the ball is going to contact the earth?
So you can give yourself a chance. It's what's called an Aussie punt. It was kind of brought over to the NFL back in the 90s by Darren Bennett. It was a big, Aussie rules player, came over, Chargers, Vikings for a long time. And I actually used to work with him back in high school.
Really?
Yeah, great.
How'd that come about?
I went to a camp down in San Diego area with Michael Houston, and he was doing more of the kicking side, and Darren was doing more of the punting side, and just connected with him at the camp and worked with them a couple more times.
So you were always destined to be a punter. That was like you knew even in high school, you're like, I'm going to be a punter. That's what I do.
Yeah, I didn't really start playing till my junior year, and that was kind of just to get out of soccer practice at the time. Just way too much.
I did cross country one year, which sounds ironic to get out of basketball conditioning because basketball conditioning was too much running relative to cross country. Anyway, sorry for getting you sidetracked.
You're good.
The Aussie punt.
Yeah, so basically, it's a back spinning punt that gives you a higher chance of it checking up like that. And there's a lot more that goes into it if you get it to kind of come more straight down versus going down at a forward, angle, so to speak. And with a short field like that, you can kind of play it to be more up and down and get it to hopefully check up like that. Doesn't always work, but,
So I'll use a golf analogy again. In golf, there are guys that can hit 400-yard bombs, and then there are the guys who are like the masters with the wedges, right? And sometimes a 400-yard bomb can be very satisfying, but then you might mess your next shot up. But when you hit it where you got a gimme, which is in essence what you did right there, that control, is that more fun to you to hit that punt than when you've hit an 80-yard punt in your career than hitting an 80-yarder? You got to think about it.
Because of the situation and kind of what it led to, what it meant for the game, that's going to be a lot more satisfying. Like, yeah, hitting the ball 70 yards is fantastic. Seeing the returner turn around and run to go get it, personally, that's great. But, it did help the team in that game, but I think this had a much bigger role in that team win. I got to go with the short one.
All right, take me to the sideline because Bubba Ventrone, great friend of this program. I love Bubba, very intense guy. I have to imagine you almost have to come to the sideline and be like, I got to protect myself. He might just come hit me. He's so excited.
It's a good thing I wear pads because he would have just knocked me down. Yeah.
He probably wants to get the helmet on. We all know that. We've seen him in the post games. So when you think about just kind of in your career, where would you rank that punt, given the moment and given how just aesthetically pleasing it is to do something so awesome?
I think with what the situation was in the game, that's probably got to be the best.
Of your career?
Yeah, when we played the Steelers 2 years ago on Thursday night, there was a somewhat similar situation. Ball went out at the 4, which is great and everything, but it's the Steelers, especially that year. They weren't very good. They weren't going 60 yards, let's be real. But So like
That was a very dramatic game. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and and that was great for that situation. But with getting the safety after this one and giving us, was it 5-point lead? Like, if that's a touchback, probably not getting a safety from the 20. Maybe, but
Who knows what the outcome is? And that was a big game. You're 0-1. You're going down. That's a massive game.
they would have only needed a field goal. Their kicker's got a big leg. They were going with the wind. Who knows how it would have turned out.
Speaking of kickers, you have the best seat in the house, right? You're the holder. You have a very important job. Get the ball, get it down after Charlie gets it to you. I saw a stat yesterday that honestly blew my mind. Justin Tucker is 0 for 2 from 50 plus, and this is not to make a comment about Justin Tucker, but the rest of the league not named Justin Tucker is 35 for 37 from 50 plus through 2 weeks of the NFL season. That is not even, it's so unprecedented. There isn't another sample size even close. What is going on? Everybody's just walking out there booming 50-yarders, including our guy D-Hop, who's 2 for 2. Like, it's nothing.
I think the potential's always been there. I mean, that's part of being an NFL kicker is being able to do that.
For sure.
And I think with what these guys are getting paid now, teams are like, you're going to go earn that check, and are taking those longer field goals that they might not have before. And I mean, I don't know what the average win margin is in a game, but, field goals can help.
It can, but I mean, take D-Hop, for example. Before he became a Cleveland Brown, he was 15 for 30 from 50 yards in his career. He's 10 for 10 with us. The percentages over the last years, just around the league, astronomical. I don't know if you got a chance to watch on the plane Cincy and Kansas City last week, which had a wonderful outcome for the Cleveland Browns. They got down to a 53-yard field goal and basically just kneeled it 3 times, and we're like, we don't even 53, 43 doesn't even matter, and Butker put it right through. To me, it's just wild.
I don't know what they're doing, but whatever it is, it's working.
There's no doubt about it. And I think they would say, my 58-yard field goal, that's great, but what you just did with that, we'll call it the sand wedge with the spin right there, is even more impressive.
Yeah, I mean, just glad I could contribute. We would have been good with Dustin going to kick it too, but,
Is that one of the moments where I'd imagine kind of, you and D-Hop and Charlie hang out pretty much the 3 of you? And for the most part, like, you'd have to imagine it have to either be something bad or maybe a return gets broken, you lay a big hit for, like, your other teammates to really be like, yeah, man, awesome, right? Were they fired up on the sideline as well? Was that where you were like, oh, yeah, I'm more than just a punter right now?
Would you look at that? I'm part of the team. Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, everyone was super excited. I think everyone kind of grasped what it meant for the game. And then it just led into the defense getting the safety. And, I mean, guys were just going crazy.
I'll have you know, Alex Wright was on Browns Daily on Monday, and before he said anything about that play, he gave you props for making it possible. So it's that complimentary football, right? That's what it was.
Yep, absolutely. Glad I set him up to do his thing.
All right, what do you want to accomplish as this season goes forward for you personally in terms of how you want to hit the ball, things you want to do, or what you fans should be in their minds when they see you come out there over the next few weeks?
Just working on being more of a finesse punter. With the new kickoff rules, the starting line's a lot higher than what it used to be. So you get into what we call that gray area a lot faster. You don't have so many backed up punts like you used to do. So you can't just hit the ball 65 yards because it might be going 10 yards deep,
But that's fun. I know it's sad.
Yeah, but, some of my coaches don't like touchbacks very much. So, but yeah, just working on that, playing clean, smart football, setting up the guys to, the gunners to make tackles if they have to, but hopefully force some fair catches so they don't have to do anything.
Corey, thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the great moment, and I know we're on to the Giants now, but what a punt that was. It was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, good stuff from Z and Corey on that. We will guess the scores with Dr. Z coming up next. You're listening to
1-1 record so far.
We're off to a good start. We're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office at 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Time for week 3 of Guess the Scores. And for that, we bring on Dr. Z. Winner in week 1, loser in week 2. In a strange start to the season, as the scores would lead you to believe and know.
It's been tough. It's been tough to get the lines.
Tough sledding.
It's tough sledding. All right, we're going to do what we can this week.
All right, you ready?
I don't know.
I think you are. You're primed. You look great in that baby blue.
Hey, it's
fantastic in that baby blue.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what, Beamsy? Beamsy's the one who's big on the branding and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and he has struggles with things that don't make sense to him when it comes to branding.
Yeah.
He goes, I wonder if the Browns a long time ago could have been baby blue and brown.
Why not? They
I don't
go
know.
together well.
Yeah, they
baby
do.
Blue and a chocolate.
Yeah. Tufts is the Tufts Jumbos are baby blue and a dark
I think that'd
brown,
be wonderful.
which is pretty clean.
Very
pretty clean. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Thursday night.
I am.
Patriots at the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Pats and Jets.
Jets -7.
What do you have to be within? A half point?
Yeah.
That is incorrect. Jets -6. Jets -6. All right. We are on to Sunday. Our game is on here. Is our game on here? Yep. Okay. We are looking for the New York Football Giants at your Cleveland Football Browns.
Browns -7.
Got it. Browns -6. All right. 1 o'clock window remains. This
Browns
is
-6 only? Not
6.5. 6.5.
Okay.
6.5.
Okay.
Sorry. You know what? I'll talk to Gabe. This is on me. I didn't put these in the right order.
You're all right. You're all right. I can just go off the thing. All right. Green Bay at Tennessee. Will Levis.
Who's
what
starting
will he
for
do
Green
this
Bay?
week? Will he punt the ball backwards? Will he kick a field goal on first down?
Who's starting for Green Bay?
Malik Willis.
They think Love maybe, though, right?
No, I don't think so. I haven't seen that this week. Did you guys see something different since I finished
I
at
believe
noon?
Love is
practice
on the
this week.
practice field today.
Love practiced?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I still think we're a week out.
Green
That would
Bay.
be stunning.
Green Bay.
I would tell you, I don't think, for what your purposes, this does not appear to be that they believe Jordan Love is going to play.
Green Bay -5.5.
Tennessee -2.5.
Excuse me?
Tennessee -2.5. Tennessee
It's in Nash-Tucky.
-2.5. The signs.
Hold on. Excuse me?
Levis. Signs. I know. It is that. Trust me. All right. Green Bay.
That's insane.
I know. That's why I tried giving you the hint. It's very clear that they think that Malik Willis is playing, and that's the problem.
I thought that was.
I would
Malik
still.
Willis just won.
I know.
Beat Indy.
I'm with you. I don't understand.
Tennessee's terrible.
I don't understand it.
I mean, I would lock that in now.
Now. Yep. Bears at Colts. Bears.
Come on, Yellowstone.
At
Get off
Colts.
the schneid.
Not with that kid slinging it around.
Colts -2.5.
Colts -1.
Crushing it. I love this.
You got time. Plenty of time.
These are weird numbers, too. So
I
far.
would agree. I don't have a problem
Yes.
with that statement.
Like, what's with the 1?
Yeah,
Not
it's
1.5.
strange. I think
not
they
a
got-
half. 1.
I think that maybe they were being criticized for too many that were 2.5, 3, 4.5, 6.5, because they're all over. All right, Houston at Minnesota. U.S. Bank Stadium, Battle of Undefeateds. This has got to be the. Let me see here. Is this the?
So 1 o'clock.
This
It
is your
the
Iron Eagle
Charles
game.
Davis, Evan Washburn.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Houston
sense.
-2.5.
Got it exactly. Good job of you. Staying at 1 o'clock. Now we're on Fox. This is the Eagles and the Saints. The 1-1 Eagles and the 2-0 New Orleans Saints, who all they do is score touchdowns on every single drive. They score points. Eagles at Saints. The Malcolm Jenkins Bowl.
Saints. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, too, right? Didn't he go from the Saints?
I think
to
so,
the,
yeah.
Saints -3.
You got it. Saints -2.5. Back to even Steven. Good job out of you. This is your Nance Romo game.
I needed that Jets game. I should have gotten
You're
that.
gonna be
That should
fine.
be 6.5.
You're going to be fine. We are in Pittsburgh. This is your Nance Romo game. This is the 1 o'clock on CBS. It is the Chargers at the Steelers. Herbert
Hot
looks
dog
like he's
water
playing.
and Harbaugh.
Sounds like Herbert's a go.
Chargers minus 1.5.
Pittsburgh -1. Staying in the 1 o'clock window.
Gosh.
The surprising Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Denver Broncos.
Gross.
This is gross.
Tampa minus 6.
Tampa minus 6.5. Got it. We are in the 4 o'clock window now, my friend, and we are in Las Vegas. It is the Andy Dalton-led Carolina Panthers 0-2 at Vegas.
Vegas minus 6.5.
Vegas minus 5.5.
Nothing says loving like a good Spiro
5.5?
game
Why?
right there.
Why is it not? Why
I'm
is
telling you, I don't know. I don't know what 5.5 gets you. Still in the 4 o'clock window. This is Miami with a Skylar Thompson at quarterback in Seattle. This has got to be the furthest possible flight in the league.
Seattle
Fabulous.
minus
Confirmed.
6.5?
Seattle minus 4.
It's Skylar Thompson.
It's Skylar.
Aren't they
Thompson.
undefeated, Seattle?
They are. They are.
At home?
That's right. 425. America's Game of the Week.
I have no feel for this league
Tom
right
Brady
now.
game. It's
Tom
tough.
Brady,
I'm
by
with
the
you.
way, has called nothing but Cowboys games.
Oh, that's right, because he
That's
did
his
it in
third
the
one.
Yeah, you're right. Third in a row.
Sunday will end the streak.
This is
because
Cowboys
then they're
at
on
home
Thursday
against
night.
the Ravens.
This is Cowboys and Ravens in Big D. Ravens at 0-2.
They got to be tired of it.
Cowboys.
It's going to be
1-1.
one of them by 1 or 2. So I'm going to say Dallas because they're at home by 1.5.
Baltimore minus 1.5.
Well, at least I knew that was. I knew it was 1
You
or
knew it
2.
was 1.5. All right, we are in Los Angeles. The team of your youth, the San Francisco 49ers at the L.A. Rams. Who's left for the Rams? Who can walk?
Niners minus 7.
Got it exactly. Good job to you. Time to rally. Detroit at Arizona. The red-hot Kyler Murray-led Cardinals didn't even have to play. Didn't have to throw it to Marv after the first quarter. They were so good.
Detroit minus 2.5.
Got it barely. Detroit minus 3.
When I was almost going
You
to
were
go
right
2.
there. You were right there. Still got 3 games to go. You can still get back. You can
I
still
need
win
to
it.
get them all. I need to get them all.
Chiefs at Falcons. Kansas City Chiefs at Falcons. This
Falcons
is
go
your
from Monday night to Sunday night. What
Sunday
is
night
this?
football. Yeah.
I
A
don't
lot of
like
betting
this.
that Cousins would look aesthetically pleasing.
Chiefs minus 3.5.
Got it exactly. What a job out of you.
7-7.
The rally is on. All right, here you go. Here you go.
Doubleheader on Monday night.
Why?
Back-to-back weeks.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
We're running it back. We're doing doubleheaders.
I don't get it.
Why?
And they go 7:30 at 8:15.
Yeah.
Why not play one at 6 and one at 9?
Who gets hurt with a 6 o'clock start?
Nobody. Why
Not
have
me.
one of these at 7:30? So stupid. 7:30 ESPN, the early Monday nighter, is the Jacksonville Jaguars at your Buffalo Football Bills. Buffalo Football Bills.
God, all day drinking in the parking lot in Buffalo.
Oh,
Bills.
They'll be lubed up. They'll be all lubed up. Jacksonville's what, 1-8? Their last 9,
Bills
1-7.
minus Josh Allen's number is 17. 7 minus 1 is 6.
What are the signs? Signs.
6
So
is
what
the
are the
sign.
signs? 6 is the sign.
Six.
Kincaid. Dalton. Kincaid. Kincaid is the
6.
sign.
Bills minus 6.
Bills minus 5.
Hey, you're going to go to 1 and 2.
Bills minus
We have room for
5.
improvement, kids.
You can go to 5. Here you get to 500. This is Washington at Cincinnati. This is an 8:15. So this is kicking 45 minutes after the other game. This one is kicking. This one's on ABC and ESPN Plus. Will this one outrate the other one because of the ABC?
I don't know.
I think it will.
I don't. We were talking about today. I don't know which broadcast team is getting, because the other broadcast team is Fowler, Orlovsky, and Riddick.
I would think that they would go Bills, Jaguars would be the money crew. Well, no. I mean, the other one's on ABC.
Yeah.
Commies and Bengals. It's weird these two games aren't flipped, that the Bengals and Commies aren't at
Agreed.
7:30 and Jacksonville and Buffalo's not at 8:15 because that's the better game. And I think that's the one you'd rather have on ABC is the other one. So I would think that you would have Buck and Aikman on the 8:15 game, and you'd have the other crew on the ESPN game.
Yes.
Because you want ABC. So I think that's probably what you'll do. But it makes no sense to kick 45 minutes apart on a network where you own both of the channels. Either way.
All these
Cincy hosting.
I've been a half high on all of these, so I'm going to go low, and it's going to end up being 7, but I'm going to say Cincy -6.
Cincy -7.5. Cincy -7.5. I'm going to defend my boy. This is a weird start. I bet you will. It's a weird start to the league. It's strange. The lines are strange. You and I have been doing this for how many years? We're off to a slow start on the scores.
Yep.
This is a strange time right now in the league, kids. It's
a
very,
strange time.
very strange time.
It's a very strange time.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's a dark time.
Be sure to catch the Browns preview show tonight, presented by Tostitos, 7 to 8 University Hospitals, Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Dante Foreman, play-by-play voice, Andrew Siciliano, joined Ken and Gerard right here on 850 ESPN Cleveland. A little higher or lower coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Back for another season with your favorite four-legged companion. Year 3, the Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, the fan club for dogs. View membership options and join today at barkingbackers.com. And now we head to the podium. Your head coach, Kevin Stefanski.
Okay, getting our work.
You guys are down about 5.5 minutes.
Science, 1-1 football team versus an 0-2 football team, but that 0-2 is very misleading to me. They lost at home in week 1, which obviously we lost at home in week 1. And then they go on the road and they play good enough to win and had some extenuating circumstances with the kicker. So I think we know the team that we're facing. I have a ton of respect for Coach Dayball, his entire coaching staff. So we got to play our best football. And that's really what we're focused on, is trying to play one game better than last week and incrementally have improvements throughout the season. So that's our focus. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Knee injury to DeJuan. First off, did it occur during the game? And secondly, what is his status for this week? Is it I'm sure you're going to say day to day, but I mean,
took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, he's injury occurred in the game. He's out today, but can't really go past today.
Jack and Jed, as far as their
practicing today. So we'll see. I think, and I understand the questions, guys. I would just tell you, with any injury, you have to concern yourself with that day, how they feel in practice, how they feel coming out of practice, those type of things.
Daniel Jones, is a lightning rod there in New York. Just what do you see from him when you watch him on film?
Yeah, can hurt you in a bunch of different areas. Obviously, can make all the throws from the pocket, but he is a very, very dangerous runner. We've all seen it over the course of time that he is a threat with the ball in his hands, and they're utilizing him. Utilized him in this last game. It's a big part of what he does, but he can also make every throw, and they have legit speed on the perimeter. So it's a very difficult attack.
The whole end of the game, do you run it, or do you try to get the first down to end the game?
Well, I think 4-minute football, these games are so close at the end, right? So it's 2-minute for the offense, trying to go down and score. Sometimes it's 4-minute where you're trying to protect a lead. That was a 4-minute situation for us. So we ran it on first and second down, didn't get enough yards to get into a manageable third down. So now you're trying to make sure the clock is rolling in those instances. But there's plenty of times in games where you have to make a decision in terms of how aggressive do you want to be. Do you want to try to go end the game right then and there, to your point, Mary Kay? And I think that maybe came up in one of the primetime games recently. So those are all decisions that you make based on the down and distance, based on the play that you maybe have available to you.
Besides a fresh set of downs, what is the value to an offense when you can consistently run it, specifically when it's need 2 or 3 to be able to run it and get this 2 or 3?
Well, I think, and you guys will talk to Coach Dorse this week, but Dorse has a great way of putting it. He talks about the offense being in the green, having advantageous down and distances, and first and 10 is in the green, and then second and I think 6 or less in the green for the offense, meaning the offense has the advantage. Second and 10 is a tough, is a red, or maybe it's a yellow, but not advantageous to the offense. So when you're in the green for a big portion of a drive, you're staying out of third down, you're getting explosives on first and second down, whether it comes via the run or the pass.
It's only 2 games, but teams across the league are throwing it shorter than they have in a really long time. Have you noticed that, and is that a product of 2 high safeties, or why do you think that is?
I saw there was a good article yesterday I saw on that. I think it's definitely the increase in 2 high safeties is a big part of it. The decrease in man, the increase in zone defense, I think factors into it. It's a small sample size early in this season, but I do think that you're seeing more of the defense play a 2 high look, which can be a variety of coverages, but that protects you in theory versus some deeper shots and maybe makes the ball be thrown into some check down areas more often than the 3 deep, where you can maybe rip a seam, rip a go ball, those type of things.
Defense's evolution to what we saw the last few years?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's definitely an evolution going on every year in football, and it's something. Offensive football is changing. Pre-snap motion, I think, is one thing that is totally different than it was 10 years ago. And sometimes I do this, go put on tape from 10 years ago, and the quarterback maybe is under center on 3rd and 6, and there's no motion. If it is motion, it's super slow. People are just lining up in 2x2, 3x1. It just doesn't look like the same game. On the defensive side, every defensive end is in a three-point stance. Nobody's rotating late in the shot clock. And then there was a lot of man and closing the middle of the field. So I think it's both sides. It's change and evolve as a response to the other side. So I think it's constantly ongoing, but I would say for this season, it's probably a little early in a small sample size to make too many proclamations, if you will.
Considering the volume of holding calls that have been called against you, when did tackling defensive ends become legal? And going back and watching some of those matchups that Miles gets stuck with, it seems like teams are just very aggressive.
You want me to get fined? Is that what you're doing, Daryl? I will say this. I have a conversation with the officials before every game, and I talk about our number 95. He knows that he gets extra attention. He gets chips. He gets a slide to him. Officials are going to miss calls, but we expect when there's an obvious one, we expect it to be called. Okay? Thanks, guys.
There you go. We talked about that earlier in the week, kind of the Shaquille O'Neal thing with Miles, where, like, are you going to call everything? And the reality is call something. My feeling as it was with Shaq back in the day was if you establish right away that you can't do that, both ways. Like, unfortunately for Miles, there's not even the other side of it. Like, Shaq could always punish the defensive player by just running him over.
Yes.
Did that a lot. Miles can't really do that. In that sense, and get away with it, where it can go both ways. It really can't. Like, a holding's a holding.
It's not cool.
Be like if you let Miles. What's a defensive line penalty? They illegal hands to the face.
Yeah, if you
let him do that over and over again, and you didn't call it, that would be the equivalent.
It's
of it.
like in forgetting Sarah Marshall. The officials are treating this like they're Kunu, and they're like, do less, and they're like, okay, and they're like, well, you got to do more than that.
A little more than that.
You got to do a little more.
Little more than that would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for a little higher or lower? We had a homework
you
assignment.
ready?
I don't know if we are.
I don't know.
Right. You asked me my top 10, and I think I gave it to you on a Tuesday morning, probably in the 6 o'clock hour. I can't even remember what I gave you. Yeah. Well, there you go. Just in time.
Yeah.
All right, Gibby. So what have you done? What are you doing here?
So I asked you separately.
Yes.
So that way neither one of you would know
what
you did. And let's see if you're on the same wavelength or not. To list your own top 10 power poll through the first 2 games of the 2024 season. I've also included on the rundown Pete Prisco's top 10. We'll compare.
Okay.
And then we'll have a little fun.
All right.
Now, obviously, you mentioned it briefly yesterday. Bo went with rewarded play on the field, not what I think they can be. Z, I think you have a little tweak.
It's both. I mean, it's both. It's a combination of what I still believe, but also have to acknowledge some of the things we've seen.
I went the way that I used to do the AP poll when I used to be a college football voter, which was I would go in a very week-to-week basis. This is the team playing the best right now. And so it's more regard to what I've seen in the first 2 weeks more than, for example, would I bet the house on this team winning the Super Bowl? In many instances, no.
Off we go, Kevin. Number one for both of you, and for one Pete Prisco, the Kansas City Chiefs. Is there a hole? Is there a weakness?
Yeah, they're not great as they are, but they have him. And so when they need a touchdown like they did, or a field goal as they did against Cincinnati on Sunday, did I think that he would go get points? Yep. Why? Because every time they're in that circumstance, he goes and gets points. It just...
Can I say one thing real quick where everybody's like, oh, the Chiefs get bailed out by the refs and it's Mahomes.
Yeah.
Do people realize why they were in 4th down again on that play?
Well, the holding that happened before it.
The play before. They had completed it. If they wanted, they had done it. If they wanted to just be like, hey, you guys get it for free, they don't call that penalty, and they'd already completed it.
Yeah, and it was a shot play into a hole.
Yeah.
And there was a guy. That's it. So
you can't say that, they're just giving them they took it away from them. The officials took it away from them.
Were you watching it live?
Yeah.
Even when they went to 4th and 16.
I still thought he was going to
I still thought he was going to do it.
Yeah.
I still thought they
I became slightly less skeptical. I became more skeptical and less certain after the penalty negated him doing it once.
Yeah. Nope. Run it right back.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this. Fact or fiction, the second most important person on that football team next to Mahomes is the kicker, Harrison Butker.
Well, he's
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones is probably the correct answer, but he's Butker allows for them not to have to try once they get past the 35-yard line. Like, once they get there, I couldn't believe they didn't try to get closer. They had time, and they're like, no, we're good. Run it 2 times and kick a 52-yarder. Like, crazy.
Because they knew.
Yeah. Onward we go.
Number 2.
Bo Bishop had Buffalo at number 2. Nathan Zagura had Buffalo at number 2.
How about us?
Pete Prisco had Buffalo at number 2.
Good job out of all of us.
Impressive, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. I don't know. They just continue to make plays with
There's just
nothing around them.
He's just a dude.
He's a dude. There are a lot of, I think right now, it's through 2 weeks, right? So you can only go with kind of what you've seen and what you thought. But there's only you can't say right now that there are any great teams. There are a lot of good teams. I think you could go to like 12 to 14 good teams and then figure out what you're going to do, how you rank them in there. And right now you're like, all right, Josh Allen's playing well, and he's the guy.
Yeah, and this for me, the reason that they were 2 for me and not a little bit lower is because of what they did on Thursday night in Miami when Tua was healthy.
Yep.
The game was over at half.
Yep.
And they housed him. And Allen wasn't even great. Didn't need him to be. So, no. Yeah,
Zagura, adjust your mic a little bit. Move that down a little bit. There you go.
There you go.
There you are. Hey, welcome back. Next.
Number 3.
This is where things start to differ a little bit. Bo Bishop at number 3, the Houston Texans.
Yep.
At number 3 for Nathan Zagura, the Fighting Pedros of the San Francisco Bay Area. And at number 3 for Pete Prisco, the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
I still have no problem thinking that the Niners can beat absolutely anybody in the NFL.
That's more the faith play, though, than you can't possibly have them ahead of Minnesota, who they just lost to.
Oh, I can.
Okay, but that's the faith thing. That's not what's happened.
But that would mean that if you have anybody in here who has your top 10 would have to all be teams with no losses.
No, I got there's teams down here that have one loss. It just comes later. Sure. But I can't have San Francisco ahead of Minnesota when Minnesota just beat San Francisco.
Oh, I can.
I know.
So you don't have San Francisco in your top 10?
No, I do. Yeah,
you have Minnesota in your top 10?
I have Minnesota in my top 10. I have San Francisco as the highest graded one-loss team. Highest graded one-loss team. But I got to acknowledge what happened on the field.
I acknowledge what happened on the field, and I think if we don't live in a simulated world, but if we did and that game was played 100 times, the Niners are going to win the vast majority of them.
But it did not happen.
But it did not. So
By
both were banged up. Minnesota was banged up. They were banged up, and they won.
This is more rankings than it is. Let me ask you this.
I told you how I did it. I did it poll mentality.
But I'm just asking you a completely different question.
I already acknowledged that I would not put anything on this. I would put money on San Francisco against everybody except Kansas City.
Okay.
But that wasn't the task.
No. So I'm asking, but like if your family was being kept in an undisclosed location, the only way they'd be freed is if you pick the correct winner in a Niners Minnesota.
That's what
game.
I just said. You just
You're
use
taking
different
the
words.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
so then they're ranked ahead. They're better.
No, but that's not what the job was. I don't think. That's not how I took the job.
The job was to rank the top 10 teams.
I can't ignore what just happened in week 2.
Next.
Number 4.
I love this already. Might have to figure out something every week, Gabe. Buffalo. I'm sorry, not Buffalo.
No,
Bo at number 4 has the New Orleans Saints.
Yep.
Nathan Zagura has the Houston Texans at number 4. And Pete Prisco has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 4. Quite the little spread here, kids. I mean, no one in the NFL has been as hot as New Orleans in the first 2 weeks.
Tampa Bay's been really
Buffalo.
good too. I mean, they went to Detroit and won. They were huge dogs in that game, and they won on the road. I mean, you had Houston one spot below I did, so that's similar to the way we view it. And New Orleans, it doesn't make sense to me, but right now they score every time they have the ball.
Outside of New Orleans, is Buffalo the only team hotter than they are to start the season?
Well, you can't be hotter than New Orleans is
the
offense
hottest team
because they score every time they have it. They have 19 possessions and they scored on all of them, or 9 possessions and they scored on all of them. 19 they scored on all of them. Yeah,
19.
Jeez, it's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Next.
Number 5.
Bo Bishop has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nathan has the Detroit Football Lions. And at number 5, Pete Prisco has the Minnesota Vikings. Again.
What is Detroit? kind of sluggish to start. A little bit.
They slogged through that
slogged
Sunday
through
night
the game against the Rams, and Rams had all the injuries, and it took the end to do that, and then it took. I mean, they threw it 56 times with Goff. It's kind of weird
they
start for
outgained
them.
the Bucs
They did
more than 2-1. They lost the game.
And they lost the
should have
game.
won.
They had, Aiden Hutchinson had 4.5 sacks, and they lost.
Yeah.
Just weird. I don't know. It just feels like they're a little off to start. I think they'll be fine, but a little off to start.
But we mentioned it yesterday. I don't know if it's on the players so much as it is maybe the coaches.
He had a bad time management deal on Sunday.
Yeah,
for
horrific.
Sure. Horrific. So I think he's got to get back to what he is. Like, he's got 2 stud backs. Go.
Yes.
56 attempts from Goff. That ain't it.
Yeah.
No, and that's not good for Goff either.
And where's Laporta?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
Next.
Number 6.
Wow. Different number there.
It's good.
Bo Bishop has the Los Angeles Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. Nathan Zagura has the Los Angeles Chargers at number 6.
There you go.
And at number 6, Pete Prisco has the New Orleans Saints. They're finding Harbaugh, run the football, and they're doing that.
Yeah, I wonder it's at some point, like, he does have Herbert.
Yeah.
At some point, will it be this week in Pittsburgh? Maybe. I don't know. But they do have Herbert. Like, at some point.
The Steelers have the ability to take away that running game.
They do. They're winning right now, but like they are, it's a lot of J.K. Dobbins. You knew he'd do this, though. You knew it.
Just don't do somersaults. Stay healthy, man.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Dobbins back.
I agree.
Next.
Number 7.
At number 7, Bo Bishop has the Minnesota Vikings. Number 7 for Nathan Zagura, the Green Bay Packers. Big win over Stones on Sunday. And at number 7 for Pete Prisco, he has the undefeated Seattle Seahawks. Little grouping for all of you there.
I was assuming Love was coming back this week, and I know he practiced today, so maybe that actually is happening. But I like that Green Bay team.
If Love plays, for sure. And
I
was effusive of praise of our boy LaFleur.
Oh, I love the Mox. My coach of the year is looking pretty good.
He looks very good. And to win the way, I think that's, no matter who's starting for them in Tennessee, I love that. So I don't, I love the score on that one. And I think Green Bay is very, very real. But they're pretty one-dimensional without Love.
Next.
Number 8.
Number 8, Bo Bishop with the San Francisco 49ers, the highest one-loss team. Tampa Bay for Nathan Zagura, and the San Francisco 49ers for Pete Prisco. Prisco and Bo.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. That makes me feel better.
I feel terrible about it. I feel just terrible. I think he probably did what I did, though. He probably went on rewarding what they did in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Not who he necessarily thinks are the best.
It has to be. What's Pedro saying about all these injuries?
Nothing. He thinks they're going to be fine. They just basically felt like they had a chance to win that game, and then they did not.
That was a weird result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very weird
Quite
result.
honestly.
That's why, this Sunday, put them away early, Brownies.
Who do
Let's
they
go.
have? They're at Rams this week, San Francisco is?
Yes.
And the Rams are hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next.
Number 9.
Bo Bishop with your Cleveland Football Browns at number 9. Nathan Zagura with the New Orleans Saints. Oof. And the Los Angeles Chargers at number 9 for Pete Prisco.
I just couldn't put Pittsburgh ahead of us.
Zagura, why'd you have New Orleans at 9?
Because I thought I'm still not fully a believer in them, but they've been good enough to be in the top 10. I never would have thought they'd even be near the top 10. So to me, that's a big acknowledgement of what they've done. Would I be willing to put my family in hiding and hope that they would be released based on a New Orleans Saints win? No.
Who's doing this?
I don't know.
It's truly the best. It's the only way to find out who you really believe.
Yeah.
But it's a believe play. It's the believe play, which is
yeah.
No, I don't know what to make of New Orleans. If they go to 3-0,
they should.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, Renaissance, the whole thing is crazy. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
Who do they play this week?
It's
Eagles.
Yeah. Oh, it's Eagles at home.
And they are favored.
Yeah.
Final one.
The Vikings.
Number 10.
The Vikings are at home, by the way, against a good Texans team, but they're 3-point dogs at home. To me,
maybe no Jefferson, no Addison. Like whatever even they were at their best, they're not going to be.
Yeah.
They're not going to have any weapons.
Yeah.
Bo Bishop with the Pukers at number 10. The Cleveland Browns at number 10 for Nathan Zagora. And the Pukers for Pete Prisco. Man, you guys, how many did y'all have together?
Too many. I think you might ask for this to be stricken from the record.
I mean,
there's several. 4 or 5.
You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it 5?
I think 5.
Steelers, Niners.
Yeah,
Houston,
the first
Buffalo,
3.
Kansas City.
Yeah, 5. 5 the same.
I get it.
It's something that I do all the time in college football.
Yeah.
And it's something you rarely have to do in the NFL because an individual game isn't that important in the NFL as it is in college. Well, college is slipping a little bit with the 12-team playoff, but for the longest time, like a college game, every game mattered so much. So you couldn't say what is that? I think Jordan was saying that before the show started. He was talking to you about college football, and he said, it felt like the college guys played harder all the time. And I think there's some truth to that from the standpoint of, especially in the old days, like if you lost a game at some of these places, you're done. You were cooked. And in the NFL, you can lose one and be like, it's just not our day. We'll get them next week. It's fine. There's time. And I think that's what makes an NFL power ranking so hard because
this is
the way to do it is the way that you set it up and what I acknowledged to you. Like if I was saying bet my family or bet my home on a team, that power 10 would look different drastically than this one.
I tried to do a mixture.
It's hard to do with that.
I tried to do a mixture. My question to you, the only one that jumps out to me that you have and that surprises me is the Steelers because I think they've been dreadful even though they've won.
They play Steeler ball.
But do you think hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead.
The one team you don't have on there that is also 2-0 is Seattle. Do you think on a neutral field
I'm going to be real honest with you. I did this list at probably 6:05 in the morning on a Tuesday while I was also producing another show and probably forgot Seattle.
Well, listen, I'm trying to help you out. So let's.
It's my guess.
But okay, hold on. Let's ask the
Probably
question right
happened.
now. Now that you are cognizant of that,
do I think Seattle's better than Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
I would probably have Seattle. I think their wins are better.
So throw them out. Now you only have 4 the same as Prisco,
and then put Seahawks at 10.
Yeah, and then the Pukers are out.
Then the Pukers are out. There you go.
There you go.
4 the same. People helping people. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Join Z and Gerard Thursday, 7 to 8, Kevin Stefanski Show, brought to you by the Browns VIP Tailgate. The guys will be live at West Park Station in the Camps Corner neighborhood. Stop
Join
out.
us.
Meet Browns rookie guard
Join
Zach
us.
Zinter. Compliments of our friends at
Three
Bud
Z's.
Light.
Zach Zinter Zagura.
There you go. Very good. Very good. There you go.
2 G's.
2 G's right there.
G-Man, Gibbe.
The G-Man and Gibbe. Bootsy calls you Mr. Gibbe. Not Gibbe or Gibbs, Mr. Gibbe.
Mr. Gibbe.
I like it.
The EH. It sounds like the GIBBEH, which can go either way.
I'll tell you the context of it coming up after this. The next level is next. Thanks for listening. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.